Welcome to the Bravo Papers, a safe space for all us Bravo fans who love to analyze, deconstruct, and talk about our favorite Bravo shows ad nauseum. So join me, Bravo and Botox, and we'll catch up on all the Bravo news and read way too much into our favorite shows and Bravo celebrities. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Bravo Papers. I have a very special episode today because we're not talking about Bravo. We're talking about Hulu/Disney Plus if you are outside of the US and you don't have Hulu like me. But I want to welcome Manny from Mixing with Manny. She's going to talk to me about the secret lives of Mormon wives. And I'm really excited. Welcome.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I absolutely loved watching Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. And when you reached out about like talking about it, I was like, I have been looking for another avenue to talk about it. I'm like waiting for someone to bring it up in
Okay, good,
conversation.
because I haven't talked about it at all. You're my first person I've talked to about it.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I'm honored. This is a
It's gonna be
dream.
so good.
It was a
And
really,
can I tell you
it
something?
was a nice fit.
Having you
Yes.
on is a little surreal for me. Let me tell you why. Because I
Okay.
started my Bravo account in, I think, 2021, and
Okay.
I was following you before I had a Bravo account.
Oh my
Yes, I was
goodness.
following you a little before that, like sometime in 2020, I can't remember. It was like during the pandemic, I was like just following all like new Bravo accounts because I wanted, or like just
Yeah.
accounts that talked about Bravo because like everybody, I was going crazy and I needed, the escape. And
Yep.
then I ended up creating my own, but it's just so weird to actually have you on the podcast now.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. That's even better. So like, never, you constantly get like con surprised by how many other people love this stuff
Yeah.
too. So I'm just like, when people was like, "Oh, I've listened to you," I'm like, "You have? You watch?" I've seen people if I see someone where I saw someone wearing a give them Lala or give them send it to
Okay.
Daryl
Oh my God.
sweatshirts from Vanderpump Rules, and I was just like, "I love your sweatshirt. I love it so much." And then we talked for like 20
Well, I feel
minutes
like it's like
because
sports fans.
it binds us
Yeah, it's like
all.
sports fans. Like if you saw someone
Yeah,
like I'm
right?
not I'm not a sports person, but if I saw
This is
someone,
our sport.
yeah, this is my comparison. If I saw them, I would do the exact same thing. I'd have to approach them and say something. Um,
Yeah, like, what's your team? What's your
exactly.
franchise?
What's
Like
your what's your franchise? What is your franchise right now? Before we go to Secret Wives, what's your favorite Housewives franchise right now?
Oh, so I mean, if you had asked me 2 hours ago, it would have been Potomac, but I was, introducing someone to the world of Roni, so I went through Reddit of all the best Roni episodes, and it took me through a couple of old seasons, and I was like, "Oh god, is my favorite Roni right now? Am I gonna do
It's
this
so
binge again?
hard.
Am I gonna do it?" It's so I mean, I could watch old Roni
Me
all
too. I
day,
just
so
did
I'm
a
just
binge too. I'm
like,
not even just saying that because you did. I literally just
yeah.
did like I stopped at season 10 because I can't with Leah, but I just did 1 to 10 and it flies by. It's so good.
It's so good. It's so quick. It's so funny. There is no boring
No.
episodes, no filler episodes. And I gotta give the girls credit for that.
Yep.
So I think at the moment right now, my favorite is Roni.
I think Salt Lake City is kind of like in that zone. Do you think so? Like they're like in that
Yeah,
really
I
good
think that
zone.
they're doing really, really well. I have some hot takes about Salt Lake City versus like the Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, but the
Ooh.
good news is we live in a space where we both can exist
Yes,
in
I
harmony.
agree.
There is not too much reality TV. And honestly, there's not too much I can learn about this topic. There is more I need to know. I really, really want to dive deep into like these all look-alike wives
Oh.
of and very specific culture of Utah.
Yes,
Like,
I have watched
pretty much
every
show.
documentary, every like anything that's like the Utah
I
I don't
really
know why
have.
it interests me so much. It just does.
I don't know either. I've watched them all. Have you seen, like, Keep Sweet and
Yes, on
Obey?
Netflix, I did watch that.
Oh my
There
gosh.
was another one I watched too
Incredible,
even before
life-changing.
that, that was about, the what was the name of the guy? Was it Jeff or
Warren
Warren
Jeff.
Jeffs? Yes, I watched a documentary
Yeah.
just about him. I remember when they were on Oprah.
I think I
Remember
did
way back
too.
in the day when she
Yeah.
went there? That was the first time I ever heard of them, and ever since then, I've been
Wow.
like, "I need to see more, please." Like, there's no limit.
Yes. And like for it to be like so, I think that one of the things that I think that really propelled so much attention to Lives of
Mhm.
Mormon Wives is that what we don't get from Salt Lake City housewives is the
Yes.
devoutness of their religion. Like they're in it. This is something they're presently
Mhm.
doing, not like escaping or leaving or, excommunicated or anything like that. They're presently doing it and they're proud of it. So like it is a night, it's like a peek into this whole world and culture that we have never seen
Mhm.
before. That's actually like both huge and very secretive at the
Yeah,
same
that's so
time.
true. It is
It's
you're
very
right. It is
interesting.
huge and it's secretive, and it's almost like The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives is like the Salt Lake City housewives maybe 20 years ago, or it it's
Yeah.
like we get to see maybe Heather 15, 20 years ago, you know?
Yeah, or like the girls from Beauty Lab and Laser that work there. Like this feels like their friend groups because they're all like young and
Yep.
20. Remember Heather would talk about how they're all like engaged. They've all been married for like 3 years and are 21, like
Mhm.
that whole thing. So it feels like that's what we have.
Yeah.
And I think that that's what makes this show so compelling is that I'm watching something that I don't know enough
Mhm.
about. And at the same time, they're dancing
It's
like,
so
and they all
random.
look alike.
Yeah,
And I do know how to tell them all apart now, but I do confirm
right.
they all
I
look
mean, when
alike.
you watch, like, 8 episodes in a day like I did, it's hard not to learn the
Right.
names, but when it first started, I was like, "There's no way. There's no way I'm gonna know these
No,
names."
I genuinely thought I would get like I would never be able to talk about this. I couldn't take notes for 3 episodes. Like I couldn't. I don't
Yeah,
know
you
who
have to
is
pay
saying
attention.
anything. Yeah, I'm glad they kept putting the name and the age
Mhm.
just to like keep everybody
Eh
grounded, remind everyone how young
Yep.
and look alikable they
Look
all are.
likeable. And I loved how they had the sweatshirts in that one scene. I was like, "That's helpful."
Oh,
Very.
helpful. Let's make that like a weekly occurrence. Like
Yep.
we should make that every episode. They should have at least one scene where I don't have to do the work and neither do the
Well, and the
editors.
other thing is their hair, which it's
Oh,
very,
yeah.
like, I don't know, like, I think it's a little maybe this is controversial. I think it's a little dated in the sense of, like,
Yeah, it's
super long
very
hair is really not what is, like, chic right now. So,
I
it's
think
but I think in
there's
their world, it's like, you know what I mean? It's cool in their world.
oh, it's all the rage.
Yeah,
Especially with highlights, girl, do
exactly,
it.
the
They're like,
waves.
we're turned up,
Mhm.
middle part, beach
Doesn't it
waves,
remind you of, like,
these curls.
2014 kind of?
So it does, but what I was thinking about is like, and we've watched a lot of these like Mormon
Mhm.
and different cult documentaries. Um, they have usually like a dress code for their hair, like a hair code.
Right,
And especially in the fundamentalist
right.
church, right? Where they have to like all keep it braided up. I think that the uniformity is
Yeah,
something that is like a part of their religion. They're just like, we're new aged and modern. So we're going to wear it down and cute
right,
and like wavy, but it's still like uniformed conservative and like, kept clean and cute.
right,
But it's just like, maybe not like an updo. Like
right,
that's not the only way to show that you're clean cut and,
right.
holy and
And it's
everything
very
anymore.
much like
You can
male
have like
gaze.
ways.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like it
No, you're
like
fine.
appeals to like men, it's like the kinda
Right. It's
yeah,
like keeping them hot.
right.
Like they still look young and hot. You would just don't know they're
So what do
Mormon.
you make of
They just
Whitney having different hair? What's your thought on that? Like, why do you think she chooses a different hairstyle?
I think she's probably on a more traditional.
Oh, okay.
I can imagine that that back in the day, it would be like updos and
Mhm,
maybe bobs or, shorter
mhm.
hair, just because that's like a conservative look. But also just poor choices. I think Whitney makes poor choices in life.
Yep.
And that was evident in only 8
Oh, it
episodes.
was.
And a lot of the poor choices I do think centers around hair in that household.
Yes, and what do you think because I really don't know what to make of it, so I really wanna hear someone else's thoughts. What do you think about Whitney's style? I'm not trying to spend too much time on physical looks, but I do think they sort of represent, personalities,
It's
standings in the group, stuff like
yeah.
that. So,
It gives me like a modern day Marvelous Mrs. Maisel vibe
Yes.
of like homemaker. She wants you to think like it's like borderline trad wives, but
Yes.
like glamorous like homemaker, like 60s pinup
Right.
earrings and like the long apron, Lucille Ball
Mhm.
style, like very traditional. And I think that is also to distract us from the fact that people will assume that her husband does not prefer her on his days off.
Yeah.
I think that with the more you lean into traditional household family vibes,
Right.
the less and like the femininity of it all and all that, the less likely people are to ask
Yep.
questions. Here's the thing though, girly, we're still asking questions.
Well, and I have so many questions, and the
So
other thing
many.
is that recently she posted, did you see the TikTok where she's pregnant and she's wearing that red
Yeah.
dress where it's like her boobs are like kind of like barely covered? So
Uh-huh.
that's what makes
Uh-huh.
me so confused about her. Like I understood her style on the show and I totally agree with everything you just said, but then she was wearing that, so I'm like, "Oh, is she now like is it different? Is it cuz she's pregnant?"
No, I completely agree because when I saw their like Hulu
Yes, that
promo
was it.
and they were all wearing different red dresses, I did remember seeing Whitney's and going,
Yeah,
"Wow,
because
no,
because
that's a
it is a
choice."
choice.
And, I didn't even think anything of it. I just found it under terrible choices that Whitney makes. Like, it just seemed like a lot, and it was not her, as if she was trying to be provocative and trying to be something that she's not
Yes.
because she's so sick of, Layla gets the attention for being able to be slutty and Taylor gets the attention for the drama
Right.
and Jen gets the attention because she is in a terrible marriage.
Mhm.
And then, well, what about me? Like it just gave that she
Yeah.
wanted to have a
She doesn't
moment.
need to worry because she's got lots of negative attention. I'm sure she sees
Yeah,
that
we're,
now.
we're talking about you, girl. Don't
Right.
worry.
So, what I thought we would do for this episode, we've already kind of done it, but what I was thinking is I know there's been like a million Secret Wives recaps out there. What I do on this show usually every week is I go through all the Bravo news and just do like thoughts on it. So, what I thought is I would go
Okay.
through Secret Lives news, like things that have happened since the show aired that people have been
Yeah.
talking about and because I we don't really we're not going to do like a whole recap. There's a million, like I said, but there's been some really interesting things out there on Reddit and Twitter and everywhere. So I thought maybe I would
Uh-huh.
read them and then get we can give our thoughts. And this was one that really stood out to me. So were you a mom talk person like before the show? Okay.
Yeah, I fell into it. I got on it during the scandal of it all,
Yes.
like during the swinger
Okay.
scandal. Like that's what pulled me in. I love a scandal.
Me
I
too.
love
Love
an
a scandal.
exposure. Love those. So when that girl started talking on those TikTok lives, and I was in, I was fully in, invested. I loved everybody like denying that they had anything to do with anything. And I'm like, then who is she talking about if none of you did it? I just want
Yeah,
to know.
tell us.
So I've been in ever since trying to break down the things and go through all of the stuff. It's been so nice. And then when they got this show, I was like, well, this is a dream come true.
Yeah. Okay. So then on that note, apparently one of the girls who I believe is named Miranda, does that sound
Uh huh.
familiar? Okay. So somebody
Yes.
commented on a TikTok and said, Miranda, just come clean and get on the show. We'd love to see you. And then Miranda replied on this TikTok comment and she said, maybe I come clean on the show with laughing face emojis. So what do
Yes.
you think? Is she coming for season for season two?
I think that a lot of the girlies that jumped ship when the sex scandal happened did not anticipate the fact that because they live in a different world,
Right.
but they did not anticipate the fact that the world wouldn't one care if they were swingers
Yeah,
or
because
not.
the
Like
rest of
nobody
us are
cares.
not
Especially
Mormon.
if we're doing a soft swinging.
Right.
Right. So this is not a big scandal to
Yeah.
us. Like you were kissing someone else's husband. That's just a day on Housewives. Like it's fine. That's Ramona and Sonia swap men all the
Right,
time.
exactly.
So like nobody cared about that. But, like, they didn't expect people to rally behind Taylor Frankie Paul.
That is
Like,
true.
nobody saw it coming that, like, her exposing people, aside from a few, no one we love an
Yeah,
exposure. We love a scandal. We don't like liars, and we don't like people who pretend like they weren't a part of something
exactly.
to save face and then leave somebody out to dry. Like, what she did isn't cute, like, with the whole affair and
Right,
everything, but, like, she divorced, she took ownership. Don't act like your shit doesn't
right.
stink, and I think that a lot of the girlies jump ship, and now they see the success of the show, and they're like, "Well, I could be in for that. I should be in for that. I am one of the
Mhm.
original people." So having girlies come back out of the woodwork after, because who we have right now on the show is like these were the reserves. We barely ever saw these girls in Mom
Mhm.
Talk. So the fact that, they are coming out of the woodwork now, they're feeling owed and entitled to something. So I think we will see her on season 2. I think we'll see a lot of people on season 2.
And I'm here for it because I wanna see the girls who were part of the swinging, and as somebody who I don't
Yes.
even have TikTok, I remember when this scandal came out and I followed it, just like I watched the videos on Twitter, whatever. I'm on Twitter a lot, obviously,
Yeah.
but I'm interested, like, I wanna hear more about their side and, like, how involved were they, more detail like, whatever we can
Yes.
get would be good.
I wanna hear so many things from so many people, especially, like, I know it'll never happen, but, like, the girl who, actually got, her husband was having an affair with Taylor.
Yes.
I wanna hear from her.
Do you know what
I
her name is?
also really I don't
I don't either,
remember,
okay.
but, like, there are charts and things out there that, like, tell you the breakdown in the web. And then I really am interested in seeing, what happens with, Taylor's new boyfriend,
Oh, he's a
because
mess.
in the women that come out of that. And I really wanna know if Jen Affleck is gonna come back. I
Oh,
it's up in the air. They moved to New York. He wants to know where I don't know if that's a headline that people know, but they moved to New
I
York,
did know
and
that.
now she wants to move back to Utah because the show is a hit.
Exactly,
Who
and
knew?
they're gonna keep making more money. Now, speaking of that, of Jen Affleck, since you brought that up, I have something. Okay, so one of the big pieces of news is that her husband is not really related to Ben Affleck. We'll get into that. But the other one is that somebody on Reddit, I'm on Reddit a lot. I'm a big Reddit creeper.
Love
Me too.
Reddit.
And somebody, love you, Reddit. And somebody posted who went to high school with Jen. And of course, this is unverified tea, but just to tell everyone, I went to high school with Jen and her sister, and they were probably some of the worst mean girls I've ever met. Jen was definitely nicer than her sister, but they would make fun of people for being too Mormon, and her sister ended up going on a mission after bullying numerous girls, and Jen went through a crazy party phase. I was shocked that she's considered one of the more devout ones now. People can change, but it doesn't surprise me who she's been surrounding herself with and who she's married to, given her and her sister were low key gold diggers. If you scroll down her TikTok to October 2022, there's a video of her dancing and appearing to be saying the N word. There were lots of comments asking what she said, but it seems like she didn't care, or maybe she didn't say it, but it looks like she did. I watched the whole show just like everyone else, and I feel bad that her husband seems to be such a prick, but it feels like all these girls are still high school mean girls. All right. What are your
Yeah.
thoughts? Did you know about this?
I did not know about maybe most of that tea, but the whole he's not related to Ben Affleck thing, duh.
I know,
Um,
right?
and like, the only thing I needed to know about that family is that she's devout now because she's married to a controlling
That's what
freak.
I think.
He's
Yeah.
awful. And whether I don't think she's putting on, honestly, she's probably staying in her marriage so that she has money and things like that. But also, she could have, because of who she's married to, she could have changed her life
Yep.
around. Like, she could have been more devout because she had
A lot
to.
of people do
Like, that
that.
is,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, think about Heather Gay. When she got married, she became super devout, super involved. Like, that was kind of the whole
Mhm.
thing. It becomes a part of your
Right.
personality is to make your husband look good. So, that's what she's doing. She's
Yeah.
gotta do what she's gotta
He
do.
just looks like Gary Busey. He doesn't look good. So,
But like the unhealthier
right.
version, which is really
That's
sad
hard to do.
and crazy to think
So I
about.
don't know, like, I feel like Jen, she does though seem like I don't know who she used to be. I just know she seems like a shell of someone. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah,
miserable,
it's sad.
just
It's actually really
miserable.
sad, and listen, he probably I don't know if he thought she was gonna share the Ben Affleck thing. I really don't. I just feel like he maybe kind of was one of those things he would say and he just figured like it's never gonna matter because
Right, until you get a Hulu
right,
show.
and then she goes in the confessional because she even goes, "Oh, he's gonna kill me for sharing this." Right? Did you remember she said that?
Yeah, because you were lied to,
Right.
and your husband's a controlling liar piece of shit.
Exactly.
So, and there's no qualms about that. Like that's the from start to the finish, that man was terrible.
He was oh my god, and just him taking that money from her and then calling her and sending that text message, that was just one of the worst things I've seen in a long time.
After threatening
Right.
divorce, because when they were packing for a trip he never should have been going to,
Yep.
um, labias only, sir, unless you got something to tell us. But he was packing and he said to
Mhm.
her, if she was like, "Well, what if we, like, went to, like, a show, like a down Thunder from Down
Mhm.
Under or something," and he was like, "You better be ready for a divorce," and I was like, "So you hate this
Yeah.
woman. That's what it
I
sounds
think he
like,
hates all
because 'cause you're just
women.
gonna put her through this emotional limbo
Mhm.
all the time." Like,
Exactly.
that's so terrible to do to the mother of your children, is to make her constantly live in this limbo. What does that do to your kids? What does that do to her? Like, terrible man. And then to take her money and then gamble it all the way and need a reason, like you needed a reason to be mad at her so that you could do what you were
Well, and
doing.
this is why I'm concerned because I feel like he's very much threatened by maybe her being the breadwinner, and that was in, like, a small way, because she was doing TikTok dances and getting ads or whatever. Now
Right.
she's on the show, and like you said, they moved to New York. I'm just like, I would like her to come back because I just wanna see how her story unfolds. Like, she's not necessarily the most charismatic in my opinion, but
No, but we want to save
we want
her.
yeah, and I wanna see what happens, but, like, is he going to and I think if she doesn't come back, it's gonna be very telling, and I think people should watch out for her to make sure she's, like, do a wellness check.
Yeah, that's probably why he moved her to New York. I mean, she's disconnected
Yep.
from the other moms of Mom Talk. She's disconnected from, their family that lives there. She's in New York. They're just by themselves,
Mhm.
essentially. And it's not like New York is the most Mormon of places for someone like him who's so
Right.
devout and hell bent on his wife being so holy. Like you went from Utah to that's like being like going from like Vatican City to Las Vegas
Right.
as a Catholic. What are you talking about? Like,
Right. Yeah,
that
that's
doesn't make sense to me. And I found, I think that also him being threatened, I mean, you're 100% right. He's super threatened by her being the breadwinner, but also, like, she can't film with all those girlies and record TikToks in New York.
right, and that's the abuser thing, like, isolate and
Yeah.
separate them from their friends and their family, and that's easy because he comes from, like, a family that has money, like she said.
Yeah. And what are they in New York for? It wasn't a job.
Right,
Like, what
I
is
don't
it?
well, okay, wait, is he going to school?
I mean, he is going to school, but he started school before they even
Yeah,
shot the
so
show.
I because at first I'm like, "Oh,
So
is he
her
going?"
Instagram has it as like 2020, like in July or
Yeah.
something.
So I don't
So I don't know. Maybe it's for school, but she also did a TikTok where she was like asking and begging to move back to Utah
Ugh,
because the show was so popular. And also did another TikTok where she degraded her success of the show because he's in both of those TikToks. So
I might have to get TikTok
we really
now.
got to protect our
I might have to
girls.
get TikTok just because of this goddamn show. I've kept off it for so long. Not because 'cause I'm against it or anything, I'm so as, people who follow me know, I'm so heavy on Instagram and Twitter, it's like trying to
No, I am
yeah,
the same way. I have TikTok and it's like when I do go on it, it's the best experience ever. True dopamine. I'm down a
yeah.
rabbit hole. But like then I'll forget for like
Well,
2
that's
weeks.
probably good
And I
though.
stay on Instagram and but I stay on Instagram and
Oh,
Twitter. Like I'm watching reels all day.
same.
Like it's the same thing. It's just a different
I
platform.
wake up in the morning, honestly, the first thing I do is Instagram, Twitter, like, it's it's like muscle
Yep,
memory.
I do Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Like I just do bump, bop,
Oh
bop.
god, Facebook,
Like what's going
I
on?
didn't delete
Are
my
you making
account, but
announcements on Facebook? Like I just want to know what's going on with
see,
people.
Facebook, I don't actually have, like, the icon on my phone anymore, I deleted it so I wouldn't check it too much, but I do go on just to see the moms groups.
I do check it a
Yeah,
lot.
I like the
That's
groups. I like watching people argue in the groups. I'm always thirsty for more drama. It's just like Housewives.
oh, I love
Oh,
those
me too.
things. Oh my god, I
The
love those.
Neighborhood.
You know what you should do
Oh, tell me.
podcast-wise? Normal gossip.
Normal Gossip. Oh my god, I the
It
name
is
I'm already
amazing.
obsessed.
Like, it is amazing. It's people who write anonymous stories, like, they anonymize it, but they write stories from their real life, like gossip sessions, drama,
How did I not
scandals,
know about
big
this?
that from their real life, and they're always, like, so wild. It's actually so funny. It's not super, like you can even listen, like, if kids are around or something,
Right.
like, it's not, like, for kids, but if kids are around, it's not
Yeah.
super, problematic and troublesome. It is well done, well produced, well hosted, and it is the
Oh my god, I'm
best
gonna check
stories that
it
you've
out.
ever heard. They're so funny, so good. The tea is
Oh
teaing,
my
like,
god, I
it is
love
so nice
that.
to just hear I love because I love a
And I love
mess.
when
I
you say
do. I love
normal
drama.
because as much as
'Cause yeah, my life is so
right, I
normal.
love
I
that.
gotta watch somebody else do
Like, I
it.
love, like, rich people drama, but I also really like just the drama at, like, someone's office that they work at. Like, I love that.
Yes. Yes, there is a great story about a girl who, like, ends up accidentally, texting a mean comment to her aunt and her dad in a group
Oh,
chat and has to get it back from her aunt while they're in a dinner in
oh,
Disney
shut
World.
up. Oh my god.
Like, it's just, like, the whole life of it all, like, real life of it all is, like, crazy. Like, it only humans get
Oh
themselves into
my
these
god, I love
situations, and
that.
they're really nice to tell those
See,
stories.
everyone, you come on this podcast and you get recommendations and you get
You're
yeah,
welcome. I also did not take my ADHD meds today, so I'm all
you're
over the
just like, "I will
place.
listen, I'm all over, that's okay." So let's speaking of regular people who are now getting attention, Jen
Right.
Affleck's in-laws have also been all over making comments. Have you seen these?
No, that I have
So
not
they
seen.
are like so okay, so AJ Affleck, I think this might be his uncle.
Oh, the brother I
Yes,
know has been, like, trying to he's, like, the
and the
nicest
aunt who is, I
man
think,
ever.
Crystal Affleck? Does that sound familiar?
Uh-huh. I'm like, "Y'all didn't watch the show."
I really don't think they did. So let me just read their comments in case the listeners didn't hear them. So AJ Affleck says Zach is one of the best guys in the world. Ask anyone who knows him personally. I am beyond saddened by the fake manufactured representation of him. I'm extremely disappointed in Hulu, his wife. He says his wife and these fake girls. This backs up the very reason I decided to never be shown on the show. It's a fake, nasty representation of an amazing religion and people. I pray for my brothers and others deeply affected by this nonsense. And then Crystal Affleck, who I believe is the aunt. Is that, do you know who, have you heard of her?
I think
Okay, I think
so.
it's the aunt. She's this one's shorter. She says, I love everything about this statement. So she replies to it. As someone who has been personally affected by this, let me tell you, Hulu is in the business of destroying marriages and families. So now I pray
Girl,
we can all judge less and love more and let our lights continue to shine to show the world who we really are. It's very like, why don't you guys go join Bethany in the reality reckoning? But what are your thoughts on that, Manny?
mhm. It's like you didn't watch it. It's so like one's it's like when the housewives blame everything on editing
Right.
or they're like, well, it was just edited that way. And Andy will always remind them like they can't edit anything other than words you
Mhm.
say. Like you said the words. He threatened divorce multiple
Yeah, we
times.
saw the
He
text.
texted these texts. He said it out of his mouth. We nobody fed him these
Mhm.
lines. And if they did, it was his choice to say them. So like anyone who knows him personally, I would say his wife knows him
Mhm.
personally, and she looks pretty goddamn miserable.
Exactly, and on top of that, he's not actually on the show that much, if we're being honest. Like, he's on it
No, just and whenever he is, he's controlling and terrible,
exactly, so it's like he's not even on it that much, yet we're getting this
but it
picture of
leaves an impact.
yeah, like, when you're not even on the show for, like, a total of, like, 20 minutes, if we spliced everything together, you can't really blame a bad edit. Like, not that I think Whitney can either, but let's just say Whitney would have more of a case because, she had like a consistent whatever throughout the season. I still don't think it's because of editing. I'm just saying, for example, but he was barely on it. So it just mathematically doesn't make any sense to me.
No, and producers are not looking to make Zach out to be the bad
No.
guy. Now, were they looking to make Whitney look out to be the bad guy?
Oh,
Probably,
definitely.
but she signed on to be on the show. Zach is just a side character.
Right.
So you did that all by yourself. You were just that impactful and you just took it away every
Yep.
time.
So, okay, so let's talk about Whitney and her husband for a sec.
God
I know.
bless.
So, did I okay, so you said you were, following the TikTok stuff before. So you might already know about this, but
Mhm.
I came across also on Reddit. Thank you, Reddit. Reddit slash mom talk gossip, everyone. Great, great community if you need to be updated on literally everything Mormon wives. So apparently
Love
his
it.
porn addiction came up last year in an embarrassing TikTok slash YouTube video. And Whitney made him do this. And on the video, he discusses his trauma, saying he's addicted to porn because he was molested as a kid. And, this user says they remember seeing the video. They felt so bad for him and, just hating Whitney for making him post that. And then he was crying on camera telling it. And anyways, and then the commenter just says, to me, it felt like she made him do that to humiliate him because she felt humiliated about the Tinder thing. So did you hear about this?
Yeah, I think she was definitely super humiliated about the Tinder
Mhm.
thing. I mean, there's a reason why the Real Moms of Bravo coined calling her spatula
Oh,
because of that TikTok where she, after he was on Tinder while she was pregnant, she did a TikTok where she said, "If I can't have you, no one will," and stuffed the
oh, I
spatula up
did
his
see
butt.
that. That I didn't know that that was after she found out
Okay.
about Tinder. That's fucked up.
Yeah, poor choices.
Oh
So
my God, Whitney.
like, and this was her way of being like, so her like humiliating him back, I think is part of like her, what they both get off on doing. He makes mistakes to prove to himself and to her that he is not anything other than
Mhm,
heterosexual. She forgives them because she's a good wife, and then she makes him pay for it because she's a
mhm.
narcissist.
Yeah, I
So
think you're exactly right, honestly.
it's actually quite plain and
Right.
simple when you
It's a
look
bad
at it,
cycle.
but to watch it for 8 episodes is quite a wild ride.
And here's the other thing.
They are
We are
crazy.
really, like, going down the rabbit hole with this whole Tinder thing because listen, he could have been on Tinder. I don't like to speculate about someone's sexuality. He could have been on Tinder, whether he was on Tinder or Grinder. People are having all these debates, whatever. But one thing that people did say, and apparently this is true, is that on Tinder, you cannot, what is it, send pictures in messages, I think. Okay, sending pictures on Tinder chat, which you cannot do. Okay, so it doesn't mean that he wasn't on Tinder, but just he was saying he was sending pictures, and people were like, "Well, you can't send pictures on the Tinder chat app."
Right,
So
and it's also because we're getting that narrative from
right.
Whitney as well, and maybe that is what he told her. I hope not, because that's a lie, and she wouldn't know
Yeah.
that, but that's also the whole thing, and unfortunately, that's the thing about, like, the downside of, what we know and what we see about in this religious community, how husbands and wives, like, interact is, like, they really just believe whatever
Yep.
the man says, for, holding on to their sanity for the sake of their children, whatever. But also, like, it's just like okay, well, he said it and that's what it is. He wouldn't lie to me, even though he just cheated. Like,
Exactly.
but to me, Tinder or Grinder, who cares? She's pregnant.
Exactly.
Why are you looking for anything? Like, what is it? I don't care if you're not having a need met or she can't meet it or whatever the case. You need to be rubbing some feet, getting the aloe
Yep.
vera for the stretch marks, like,
Yep.
making sure she's having a nutritious meal and getting some sleep and rubbing her like, holding her
Mhm.
stomach while she's pregnant. Like, I don't you don't have to love Whitney to be like, what he is she's responding to, like, a fucked up situation
Right. And I do
in a fucked up way.
if he does want out of the marriage, if he's, let's just say he's not into Whitney or whatever, and he does want to kind of move on to something else, he obviously needs to maybe wait till she's not pregnant, but he needs to be honest about it. They need to work something out. He needs to co-parent. I don't know. I get it's a very hard thing to do. It's easier said than done. but it's sad that they're even in this situation, and I hate feeling bad for Whitney because she's such a villain, but
Yeah, she's
she's
terrible.
terrible.
But I do, you're right. I do feel
I
bad for
do feel
Whitney, and I
bad.
think she keeps having babies because they need to remind themselves and other people it is better to have a cheating scandal while your wife is pregnant than it is for people to assume you are gay, probably where
That
they
is so
live.
crazy, and I sometimes I have to shake
And I
my
think
head.
that yeah, like, it just proves that he is like, macho man
Right.
make bad man mistake. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Like, plenty of men have done that, but you don't wanna be called gay. Definitely not in
Right.
that church, definitely not in Utah, not in their relationship at all. But he also was the only one on that show that has some sense. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay,
He would
why'd you
talk
say
sense into Whitney constantly because Whitney would say stuff about, like, her plans of, like, he's like, "So are you doing this because you wanted them to call you?" And she's like,
oh,
"No, not for the
yes.
attention." And he's like, "Well, it seems like that." Like, he's just a little bit
Yes.
more I think she stayed with him because he grounds
I think
her
you're right.
in a way of whatever they are sexually to each other, she left alone without any voice of reason is dangerous.
Well, I think you're completely right. When it comes to the friend group, he is the voice of reason. He's good with that. You know what he's good with navigating that.
Right.
When it comes to his own family dynamics, he's completely
Terrible.
lost. He's gone, he's lost. I don't know what he's gonna do. I think that's part of the reason he keeps changing his look. I think it's because
Mhm.
he's not sure who he is. His identity is so I don't know. He just doesn't know what his identity is. I think he's so lost. And again, just like
No,
Whitney,
he's
they
lost.
both are reflecting their lack of a surety in who they are. I don't even know if that's a word, but neither of them are sure about who they are. And it's reflected through these like constant changing physical manifestations. Like it's actually crazy to watch.
Mhm.
All right,
I agree.
it's wild. So let's talk about one other hot couple. I use the term loosely is
Oh, boy.
Dakota and Taylor.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say that.
Well, we can't not talk about Dakota and Taylor. So, first of
No,
all,
it's like criminal.
some
It keeps me up at
does he
night.
keep you up at night with the
Yes.
scary eyes?
Like, in general, just their relationship has really been, like, bothering me. I'm, like, genuinely concerned
Same.
and need her to get away.
Same. So, Jenna, have you heard of Jenna? Okay, so
Yes.
Jenna posts and she says, "My name is Jenna. I dated Dakota. I will tell you everything." Obviously, she's trying to make a play at joining the show next season. Have you heard anything about
Mhm.
Jenna? What do you think about that?
I think that Jenna I don't blame her. I don't think that she, knew at the time. I think she might have been the person who sent that DM
Yep.
because she had a guilty conscience and found out after the fact. I don't put the blame on any woman in these situations. I
Right.
put the blame on Dakota because you were in the relationship. So what is it? Like, what is it? And why are we then vilifying Demi for bringing or not Demi? What's her name?
Jess?
Oh God, I was so proud.
The
Yes.
one who, like, looks
No,
like Demi? Oh, no, the
the
blonde?
younger one. Yes.
Macy.
Macy.
Yep.
Yes. And I'm just like, why are we vilifying Macy for doing the right thing by a pregnant friend who, again, this whole thing is like, while the women are pregnant and making your babies and, taking care of your homes, they're out gallivanting, doing all these terrible things to them. And like, you're mad because someone calls you out on it. And Jenna is not the problem. Macy is not the problem. Dakota is the problem. And he got caught. And he does not, he like Zach, they don't do well getting caught.
No.
They're like two peas in a pod of controlling, bullshit
Yeah,
masculinity.
and I actually, like, I don't mind Macy. Like, she's a little bit like Whitney's, minion or whatever Demi said. She does have that little minion-ishness to her with Whitney. I don't know why she's so
Mhm.
dedicated to her, but I appreciate that she is a very loyal friend, and I appreciate
Right.
that she's willing to call out these men and she can kinda see the abusive behavior. Like, we need someone like that. She's sort of like kind of like a Greek chorus type of person, like, she sees that kind
Mhm.
of stuff, so I kinda like her. I don't agree with
I do
everything.
too. she started, the season off being a little bit,
Mm,
critical of Taylor because she is friends with Whitney, but I also like that she is able to stick up for
right.
Taylor and also do the right thing by her and be like, you deserve to know this. Like, so many housewives would be like, this is not my business and I don't want to talk about it. They'd be afraid of, the messenger getting
Yeah.
shot. I think about Candace telling Ashley that Michael Darby was
Oh,
caught
yeah.
with the girl in the hotel room. Like, I think about those
Yep.
things, but I am happy that she met up with Dakota because she's like, I don't want to ruin your family, but she needs to know, and I don't want to hold on to this. You can fix
Yep.
this, assuming he'll be honest with the girl that he wants to marry.
Exactly.
That's their naivete, all these women. Um,
That here's the thing though, is that like as much as Taylor is like, well, actually, I'm already disagreeing with myself. So Taylor said if I knew about it for sure and I had confirmation, I would leave the relationship even though I'm pregnant. Do you think she really would have taken that step? Because I kind of go back and forth because I feel like she wants an excuse to leave the relationship because she knows it's fucked up.
yeah.
But then on the other side, she almost wants the like, let me prove to everyone that I'm going to make this work. So what do you think?
Yeah, I think that she's torn because she wants to not be a single mom. I
Yeah.
think that's where she's at. She, doesn't want that, but she also doesn't like this. And she's looking for a way out. I, made a meme that it's like one if you or a loved one have slept with Dakota, please call 1-800. I'm trying to get the F out. Like she wants like people to let her know, but I also think that she's afraid of taking that step because the judgment and the ridicule, she's already had so much of it. It's like a trauma
Yep.
response, like bringing more negative attention, like, oh, two failed relationships, babies out of wedlock, and, single mom, two kids, two baby daddies, or three kids, two baby daddies. Like, it's a
Yep.
lot. And I can understand that. But I also think she's aware that this isn't a healthy situation.
Yep. And there's people coming out of the woodwork already on Reddit, other places who have dated Dakota, etc. There's one who said their friend dated him, sorry, I was very close friends with his ex-wife in college, also from Reddit, by the way. He didn't go to school with us, but would visit the university. I was introduced to Dakota as my friend's ex-boyfriend, who she would later go on to rekindle with and then marry. Dakota was abusive, creepy, and weird towards my friend from the get go, extremely jealous, paranoid, and controlling, just like how he acts in the show. I vividly remember him becoming unhinged at my friend because she wanted to sunbathe with her friends in a bikini. I could see all the signs of an abusive relationship, but my friend would continue on with him. So,
That's
yeah, and
terrible.
I just feel like the whole thing with the domestic violence thing and her getting arrested, if you read the police report, have you seen it or looked at it or yeah,
Yeah, I haven't seen it since the show's come out, but I saw it when it
yeah.
happened.
So what did you think? Because in it, like, there's some pretty bad stuff on Taylor's part, like almost hitting her kid with the stool and her like hitting or picking up the stool and hitting him with it and stuff like that. And I don't want to excuse any of that, but like, what do you think?
I don't want to excuse any of that. I think that, their relationship is
Mm,
volatile, but I also think that what's happening is that Dakota is controlling and the abusive thing. And he is so upset that he doesn't have a Jen. He couldn't Zach the
right.
situation and get to her first, like years ago when she was young, naive, didn't have the babies yet, and could be convinced that it is more important that she be married with the children
Right.
before having a baby out of wedlock than anything else. And now she's like fighting back with that. And I think it really upsets him when she is able to foil his manipulation.
Yeah, and I'm not and again, like, same as what you said, I'm not trying to, like, excuse it, but I could see
No, not at
that
all.
there's a
You can
cycle.
see a wits end
Right.
situation as well, where the blind rage, the you
Yep.
don't know what that situation was. Maybe the first time she found out that he was just sleeping around, it really took her
Yep.
out. and she, is triggered. Not to mention, she just got out of a relationship. She just got
Mhm.
divorced.
And she might have
Like,
some
she's
drunk anger problems that she needs to deal with.
yeah, she's
Yeah, I think
processing.
she needs to deal with that for sure. And again, I don't think that being in this relationship with this guy is obviously the best thing, but maybe things calm
Probably the
down.
worst
Yeah,
thing.
maybe because she was pregnant, she hasn't been able to drink. Maybe that gave them like
Right,
you when you have a baby, there is a honeymoon phase with the baby, like that sense of euphoria. And it lasts for like a little bit, like a few months or whatever. And then, but it really does go away, and things kind of when they normalize and you get used to it. So I feel like they're in that honeymoon phase. It's his first kid. So he's all like gaga, but it's going to go away.
right. And I think that and that's why I appreciated when Macy did decide to tell Taylor,
Yeah.
because she decided that it was better to do it before she was in that honeymoon phase with her new
Mhm.
baby. And I think that's like a really like I something I never would have considered because I'm not a
Yeah.
mother, and she is one, and for her to be like, I don't want to take that
Yeah.
from another woman, and even like from Dakota of like this new blessing that you're having. I don't want to spoil that by telling her after the fact.
Right.
And I'm just like, give me time to fix it. And I'm like, y'all care more about this relationship and this baby's, emotional well being and stability in a household than
I was
she
like, yeah, than the
does,
parents. You care more than the parents.
than the parents, because the best thing to do for this child would be to leave each
Oh yeah,
other and to
100%.
co
A
parent.
100%.
Like, that's a
Yep.
fact. There's no way that Taylor needs actually to probably experience some independence.
I think so too, and I think that's the thing with, like, the whole Utah mom thing, Mormon thing, is that there is seems like with these women, there is a fear in a lot of them of being alone. It's like being alone means you failed. Being alone, not being
Yeah.
a mom or a wife, in some way that makes you less of a woman in their view. So I think that's why, like, it is
Yeah.
very brave when one of them does get a divorce or walk away because it is, an extreme thing in their community.
Layla being
Oh my
22 and
god.
divorced,
It's
wild.
crazy.
I'm actually really proud
Me
of
too.
her and impressed by her to be able to recognize the severity of whatever situation she was in being not what she wanted. Like, as simple as this isn't working for me, or as detrimental as this is not good for me. And I'm really, it's nice that she had the wherewithal to, like, we want for Jen what Layla, the whatever
Yep,
revelation Layla
yep,
got.
totally. And I think just on our last kind of point that I wanted to make before we wrap up is that the other thing that really shocks me, and sometimes I have to like I said, hit my own head because, like you and I and other people who are not in this like Utah community, we live in a different
Right.
headspace, but the way that they treat getting pregnant is so like, I'm not saying they don't care about it or anything, but it's just like, it's as natural as like renewing your license. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's very, like, it's almost like they're on conveyor belts
Right.
of babies.
It's like
Like,
an
it's like a
accessory.
part of their identity to be like, "Oh, I'm pregnant," like, this time around, like, "I'm pregnant again," like, and it's they wear their baby bumps like accessories more than
Totally.
children when they come out.
Totally. And it's like, even like Taylor getting pregnant, she was like, I need to take a pregnancy test, like to her mom. It was just so, and even Whitney, like, you're having all these troubles. Your husband's been cheating on you since the marriage started. And you're like, we
But you're
can't
gonna
have
take a
another
pregnancy test
baby.
and a cake
Yeah.
and celebrate another baby being brought into this tumultuous
Right. And you
relationship.
could tell she was jealous that Taylor was pregnant.
Yeah, why do you think she got pregnant by the end of the
Oh my
season?
god, that is I just can never imagine myself getting pregnant out of something like to compete with someone. It's just so insane to me.
Yeah, and it's like all the brand deals and all
It's
the things,
crazy.
like, they get all the stuff, and Whitney is all about like, the narcissist in her, she's like, it's
Ugh.
she can't help herself but to be, and she's so charming because of the narcissism, like, and I'm not a psychologist, but,
No.
like, I was raised by a narcissistic parent, so, like,
You can
I have a
recognize.
very particular, yeah, I'm very
Mm.
sensitive to a lot of certain, like, manipulative behaviors, and they're so charming and so
Mhm.
smooth and so cool and calm and collected like a cucumber, but then they do little shit like
Yep.
this, where if you're not careful, you will turn around and go, she does do all these things for attention. She does do that.
Yeah.
And all the women like had those realizations, and Whitney couldn't take that. So she had to come, my therapist used to always say narcissists only ever like change their ways or apologize when they hit rock bottom.
Oh,
So when
interesting.
nobody has called her after 3 times that she left Mom Talk, no one called her when she quit, when she left the group chat, when she,
Yep.
unfollowed everyone, no one called. So what does she do? She has to come to the party. Like now she's at
Yep.
rock bottom. No one's talking to her. No one's being nice to her. What am I going to do? I got to go and quiver and cower and until I can get back to good
Oh
graces.
my god, that is so interesting. I never because in my head, I
Mhm.
always kinda thought, like, I don't know, I'm not a therapist, obviously, but I always kinda thought I was like, "Okay, like, do narcissists ever apologize?" But you're right, like, what your therapist said is so interesting that it's like a last resort.
They have to lose
Yeah,
something. It has to impact
yeah,
them. And
personally.
the whole point of the narcissist personality disorder is that like your feelings don't impact
Exactly.
them.
So their feelings
It
do.
doesn't impact the decisions they make. Their standing and their own self-sufficiency like is what determines and dictates what decisions they make. Be damned anybody
Oh my
else. They
gosh.
can love you. It's just that like their self comes first. It just is.
So, do you think Whitney will course correct based on audience feedback next season?
Abso-fucking-lutely. We
Okay.
will see a different Whitney
Yeah.
next season because they're really good at turning the charm.
True.
Like, they're really good at it. They're really good at being like and they see it as like, "Okay, they don't like this, I changed
Mhm.
that." And I'm like, "Yeah, you shouldn't really be able to do that." But like, it's not growth when you just change a thing so people don't like it or you hide it. But I think she's already like been tweeting like it would be a good idea for the cameras to be picked up right now so they can see our reactions on everything.
Ugh.
And I'm like,
Yep.
you are objectively the second most hated character on this show. The only reason why you are not number one is because there is an abusive blonde man here.
Exactly.
And whenever there's abusive blonde men around, they automatically get most hated
Exactly.
award
Yep.
usually. So, like, that's the only reason. The fact that you want people to rush to pick up the camera so that they can see, catch all the
Mhm.
reactions lets me know that you're ready to be back on TV. You're ready to be back in the
Yep.
center of things. You're ready to let the girlies know you've heard them and you're willing to change their
And she's
ways.
doing all these, like, videos where she's like, "You need a new villain," like, she's doing that kinda thing, like, trying to own it,
Right.
but I'm like, "Whitney, it's very obvious that you're pretending you're good with this, but you're not." Like, yeah.
You're not. You're not a Kingdom Moore. You don't
No,
know what it
please.
is. You're not confused as to like you really want to be. She's so upset that Taylor is the breakout star, but
Oh,
the show was
totally.
like built around her and she hates
Yep.
it. She hates
That
it.
is
Like she
crazy.
moved away to Hawaii to be separate from it and then came back because they got a show
Yep.
from it. And she's like, they forgave Taylor, but not me. I'm like, Taylor cheated on a man that we don't know or care
Yeah,
about.
it's totally different situation.
You did a dance next to your baby who couldn't breathe.
Yeah,
It's a
that was
little strange.
crazy.
I have questions. Yes.
So, Manny, tell the viewers, oh my God, I'm out of it today. The listeners, where thank you so much, by the way, but can you please like
Of
plug
course.
city, tell them everything. Where can they find you? Where can they listen, follow, all that stuff?
Yeah. Absolutely. You can find me on all the things, anywhere you're listening to this podcast. After you rate and review Emily's podcast, please feel free to come and take a listen to The Mix with Monty. And I'm on Instagram at Mixing with Monty, MixingWithMani. Instagram is the best place to find me because that's where we
Yeah,
live, apparently.
that's where I
So,
live.
yeah, Mixing with Monty on Instagram and then Mix with Monty on all the podcast things. But this was
It was
so
such
much fun.
fun. Can
Thank
we
you
do
so
it
much
again?
for having me. Yes, please,
You
absolutely.
anytime.
And we'll have you come on the mix. That'll be so fun.
Anytime. You name it, I am there. I would love to.
Yeah, there's so many new housewives. It's like
Oh
fall
my
season.
god.
It's fall by
I just
Bravo
watched
right
Salt
now.
Lake City today, and it was so good. I'm dying to
So
talk
good,
about it.
right? I love your
Sorry?
costume. I love your costume. That's what Mary
So
said
do you
to
think it's a
the new
costume or
girl.
or an outfit? What do you think?
I mean, it's they're all costumes, but It's a costume. But yeah, sure, high fashion. It's just things off the runway and in
Yeah.
Utah don't make sense, so it's gonna be called a
It looks
costume.
so it's so crazy to see those outfits in Utah. I can't wrap my head I'm like, "No one dresses like this."
I don't know what's happening.
No one's Bronwyn walking down the street in that yellow number, and then she goes into this little
My
corporate store, and
God.
I'm like, "What the hell?"
Like, what are the I need to go to Utah just so I can see the demographics because it seems like 80% of the people there are so Mormon, like, you can't see their garments, they're not drinking, they're not
Mhm.
cursing, they all have the middle parts with the wavy hair, like, they're doing the thing, and then the rest of them are, like, having tequila companies or being good time
Yeah.
girls or, like, the Housewives of Salt Lake City. So I'm just like, "What is this compilation of human that
It
lives
is
there?" And I need to
it's
witness
like
it.
its own world. It's so interesting.
Yeah.
So interesting.
It's
It's
like
fascinating.
Vegas, but with
Yeah,
snow.
and give me more Utah shows. Manny and I are requesting them. I don't know if anyone's listening from NBC maybe by chance. Can you make more Mormon Utah shows, please?
Yeah,
That'd
that'd
be
be
great. We
great.
would
I would
appreciate
love
that.
that.
Yes. Okay.
Can't get too many.
Never, honestly, I could watch 100. Well, thank you again so much for coming, and I'm sure I'll
Of
see you on
course.
Instagram very soon.
Yes.
Now, everyone, you are in the know. Well, usually I say the no for everything Bravo. So today I'm going to say the no for everything Mormon, even though it doesn't rhyme because that's the best I can come up with right now. Bye, everyone. Thanks for listening, everyone. Your support really means everything to me, and this show wouldn't be possible without you, the listeners. So please, if you enjoy the podcast, leave a 5-star rating and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. For more, you can join my Patreon, patreon.com/Bravo and Botox. And for $5 a month, you'll get 4 extra podcast episodes a month. You'll also get early releases of Bravo Paper episodes and more. Please also subscribe to my YouTube channel at The Bravo Papers and follow me on Twitter, Instagram, at Bravo and Botox, and at The Bravo Papers. If you'd like to buy me a coffee, you can at buymeacoffee.com/Bravo and Botox. You know, send your love through some much needed caffeine. And any guest that was on today's episode will be in the show notes, all their social media and contact information. So thank you so much, everyone. Keep overanalyzing Bravo.